Horses cold. Just let me be blunt. My speech in the morning, nothing but grunts. With no coffee, that's as dangerous. On a scale from 1 to 10, I rank it that girl from Stranger Things. And if you get what I'm saying, my attitude be mad flagrant like I'm Draymond. But you ain't get the picture, BFP. So I'm gonna keep pushing on you, GNC. It's like, yeah, the first thing on my mind is when that hot coffee gonna seep into the coffee grind. It's like some magic's floating on in the air. Toss some ice cubes in my cup, it's a good day. All I gotta say is that it's starting in a good way. It's time for working and I don't even care. Just wake me up. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold, just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold, always start fresh, that's how it's gotta be. Everything starts back with your coffee beans. If it's cold brew, then it's gotta be coarse. Don't get the cart ahead of the horse, start learning the course. But of course you can disregard. And don't at me if it gets too hard. When it's my time to drink, man, it's always on hand. Drink from a cup or a bottle, even a can. You never know when you're craving no hit. It could be in the bathroom while you're taking a with flair, I'll say he ain't got nothing on it. When that coffee hits my lips, it's a seance. Feeling real super with the cape on. Anything I'll take on. This cup of coffee, yeah boy, this is the shit. Just wake me up, just wake me up. Just give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold, just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold, third verse, so I guess that's where I talk about how we might be addicted in a roundabout kind of way, or how you say, a dependency that's in my life, and I'm proud to say it's filling me with way more energy than I'll ever need, keeping me up for things I thought I'd never see. Time's gonna kill us all one day, whether old age, illness, or from listening to Coldplay. F that noise, wubba lub love. Drink all the coffee, chug a lug lug. The day doesn't start till you're on your second cup. If they talk before then, homies better duck. It's 100% okay to start swinging in every single.
Good morning, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world, and welcome to the morning stream here on the Den of Nerds Live. The very best way to start your nerdy day. On today's show, we're talking Snyder Cut, baby. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Did it work? Been some crazy stuff going on, guys. The Snyder Cut is totally real. Like, this is very crazy. So we're going to get into the Snyder Cut. We're going to talk all about Das Snyder Cut. LB from the Lonely Banner is going to join me in a minute here. And we're going to talk all about the Snyder Cut. It's been crazy. Snyder Cut isn't real. It'll never come out. It can't be real. Looks like it's real. It's real and it's coming. This is unbelievable. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Let's see what kind of beautiful people we have in the chat today. Star Wars Santa's here. Renee, Russell, Sam Shill, Stormbreaker, Chris Murphy, Music Major, Terrazon's in the building, everybody. Mike Porter, Brian Bufka, XRQ, Mr. Deeds, Jordan, Lavis, Jonathan London Dubs, Bill M's here, Jacob's Quest, Join Ya, Harvey, Fanjecture, Trinity Taylor, Spider-Man Show, Justice Simone, AB, Travis Adams. Woo! It's gonna be a good stream. It's gonna be a good stream. I don't know, man. What do you guys, how are you guys feeling this morning, man? I tell you what, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but this music, doing it for me. Yeah! Get it going! In the morning, baby! to do like some like exercise kind of things. I don't know what these are. This is I saw a video of Robert Pattinson working out as Batman. Chet, that music's like really loud for them. I saw images of Pattinson's workout for Batman. You guys ready? Hang on, Chet. Pause the music. Pause the music. Put me on the big screen. Just because Tara's here. I saw a picture of Robert Pattinson and the workout that he does. You guys ready? James Dean never worked out. Woo! All right, enough. You guys know what's going on. Let's get into it. It's the craziest news of the day. Yo, this news is crazy. And before we get into it, forgive me for just a moment as I take a sip of my delicious, organic Taylor Lane coffee, the official coffee of the morning streams. Go to TaylorLane.com and use the code NERDS10 at checkout for 10% off your ordering so that they know we sent you. Nice. Snyder Cut is now happening. Now, this is over on Fandom Wire that Andy Signor wrote this article, and Andy's got some splaining to do. But in all seriousness, he sort of goes over that a little bit in this article here, okay? So we're going to talk about this. Let's read right from it. We previously reported that Warner Brothers did not ever want to release Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League, a.k.a. the Snyder Cut. Well, our sources have now informed us that something happened this week at Warner Brothers, prompting them to change their mind. While we're still being told that some did not want to cave into fan demand, apparently some high enough up on the chain has changed course and agreed to release the Snyder Cut. It's important to note that this story is still developing, but we take our report and our sources seriously, and we wanted to correct as soon as we heard this shift in news. We are hearing that Zack is currently back in talks with HBO Max to realize a version of the film. Our sources insist that our previous reports were true, but someone inside of the studio has had a change of heart regarding Zack Snyder and the cut. It could be someone higher than DC and Warner Brothers, meaning someone at AT&T who owns the studio. I heard it was Jeff Bezos. I heard Jeff Bezos was like, what? I'm bored. That Snyder Cut seems cool. Let's make it. Okay, so let's read on. If, in fact, this does prove to be true, then many congratulations should be sent to Zack Snyder. Against all the odds, he played the long game here to finally get Warner Bros. Respect and get his cut released after completely dismantling his cut with filmmaker Joss Whedon stepping in after the tragic loss of Snyder's daughter. The theatrical cut of Justice League was an absolute mess, angering all fans. # release the Snyder Cut was born. While some of his more toxic fans absolutely took the battle too seriously, I've been impressed with many of the fans today who are already starting to forgive us after correcting the story. Okay, now, as Andy says, in their previous report. Let's check it out. Oh man, that image there doesn't look inciting at all. I have no idea why fans would be attacking him. Okay, so check this out. Let's just read. I just want to read back from the other article that they posted, okay? The answer is no. According to Fandom Wire's exclusive sources, Warner Brothers and HBO Max will not be releasing Zack Snyder's director cut of Justice League. We know many fans of the Snyder Cut in his Snyder Army will not believe us, no matter what we type. But the reality is, there not only won't be a secret drop of the project on HBO Max, but we've also confirmed that the cut is not finished. While we support Snyder getting his original vision, blah, 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 blah. The lack of a finished Snyder Cut is an unspoken fact around Hollywood, but no one seems to want to go on the record about. Even studios other than Warner Brothers are beginning to take notice of Snyder's constant pushing to vilify. Oh, geez, I don't know what just happened there. Looks like we got like a pop-up dilly dally. Okay, point. You know what? I'm done. I'm done with that. Let's go back into the chatting setting. Let's go back. Look, the point is, Andy, along with many other people, had reported and told you guys that there was no way the Snyder Cut was happening, that there wasn't really even a Snyder Cut. You know, it's been interesting to watch literally since that Justice League movie came out. It's been really interesting to see the reaction from fans, but also just how other people are like, yeah, there's no Snyder Cut, and this really interesting story sort of surrounding the mythos of the Snyder Cut, if you will, and the reality today seems very different. It wasn't just Andy. There were a lot of people that were posting about this on Twitter yesterday. A lot of buzz happened. Now, I want to say one thing before we bring LB in. We're going to bring LB in just a minute here and probably have a nice level-headed conversation about it. I am going to be doing a video with Ryan from RK Outpost, hopefully on Thursday, talking about some Snyder Cut stuff with regards to Pattinson's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman, okay? And I'm playing around with the idea, guys, and I'd like to know what you think about this. I'm playing around with the idea of, for the community stream next Monday night, having the community stream be about, if the Snyder Cut is really good, like not just good, but like really good, do you think the Warner Brothers fan base will shift back into wanting Affleck and that Batman to continue on and wanting Pattinson's Batman to exist and just exist in a separate kind of thing? I'm playing around with that idea. I'd like to know what you think. But when it comes to that, Snyder himself is doing a watch-through and Q&A on Wednesday of Man of Steel. And a lot of people are suggesting that he will be teasing some interesting stuff on Wednesday with regards to the Snyder Cut. So following that up, I will be doing like some kind of a live stream or some video with Ryan from RK Outpost, which should be a really interesting talk because Ryan is one of these Snyder Cut bros. You know, he's one of these Snyder Cut bros. So I want to get it from the horse's mouth, man. I want to know. What's up with them Snyder Cut bros? What's up with this whole situation? So look forward to that. Now, let's bring in LB from the Lonely Banner.
What's up?
What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. I'm back.
Back in it. Talking some Snyder Cut. We were talking a little bit yesterday about what we wanted to talk about today, and there was really nothing but this, man. This is the big news.
Yeah, it's the big news, and I was like, hold on, is this real? Then I saw your tweet, and then I saw the person deleted the tweet, and then I was like, okay, let me start looking on Twitter and Google, and I was like, oh, I see some more people actually talking about this, so this might actually happen.
I didn't know. Did Brandon delete that tweet after we retweeted it or sometime after?
Yeah, I clicked it, and it was saying tweet removed. I was like, hold on. And I thought I was blocked first, but then I saw it was removed. And I was like, why would he block me? He probably don't even know who I am.
Yeah, that's wild. I wonder why he took that down. You know, okay, so this is something that maybe you and I, this isn't necessarily something you and I need to get into. I'm interested in getting the full perspective on why it became such a thing where, like, it seems like there's all this, like, toxicity and all this stuff. But let's talk about, I want to talk about Joss Whedon's Justice League. So give me your baseline thoughts about Joss Whedon's Justice League. I assume you saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't think it was the worst movie in the world. I thought it was okay, but it was like, I'm never watching this again.
Right.
I mean, you could obviously, if you've seen Joss Whedon TV shows or movies, you know what he changed in the movie. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I remember seeing that movie. It was funny. I saw that movie in theaters, and I actually bought 2 IMAX tickets to it, one for me and one for a buddy because I owed him a movie. and I got like a Funko Pop. I got like the Ezra Miller Funko Pop Flash with like his helmet off. And you know what? I'm actually hoping that thing might be worth some money someday, especially if they like axe Ezra from the DCEU. That could be really cool. But dude, when I saw that movie, I was like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
Like it's so bad.
If I would have went to the movie theater and saw it, I probably would have been angry. But I mean, I
Yeah.
saw it from my couch and stuff, and I was like, all right, this is cool to watch on TV, you know. But outside of that, if I would have paid IMAX money to see it in the theater, I probably would have made up an excuse to the movie theater and said someone was talking next to me to get my money back or something.
That would have been a good that would have been a good play. Yeah. So like I guess where I'm going with that is we hear, you know, I've heard some things where people are like, well, what if the Snyder Cut just sucks anyways, right? Like what if it's bad? And my like rebuttal to that is like it cannot possibly be worse than the absolute Frankenstein of a film that Joss Whedon put together. And the thing is, it's not even a secret as to why. You know, like it has come out, all of the stuff that Kevin Tsuchihara did to that movie upon reshooting it, all the restrictions that Joss was given, and all of this crazy stuff. It was like a really bad situation. And, you know, again, like a lot of my problems with Warner Brothers, and I get labeled as like this DC hater and all this sort of stuff. Warner Brothers, it's the people at the top, man. It's the people at the top, and it's the managers, and it's the suits that have been a big part of this whole Warner Brothers problem. You know what I mean? And one of the things that people talk about is that there was a clear sort of anti-Zack movement within Warner Brothers, which could have created sort of the situation that we have now currently, where it had appeared for so long that there's no movement on Snyder Cut. There's no way they were ever going to do that. What do you think, man? Do you think there is sort of an anti-Zack Snyder sentiment over at Warner Brothers?
I think it's possible because of the whole internet thing running with release the Snyder Cut, but at the same time, I feel like it might not be because Warner like restructured. They got like a new executive team and stuff. So I'm kind of torn between the two, and I don't want to be that one who's like, well, maybe not, but like it could be that way. Because like I said last week, when new people come in, you know, they want to do their own thing. So it's possible, like, look, man, they don't want to deal with Zack Snyder and stuff. But it's like, why would you do that? He's made you a lot of money despite the past couple of films he did not really being a critical success.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a fair point. Those movies did make a lot of money, and I think compared to a lot of Superman movies, I think Man of Steel did pretty well, and Batman v Superman still did well. It didn't do nearly as well as it should have been. Let's sidetrack for a second. What did you think of Batman v Superman? Because there are some DC fans that think that that's like a masterpiece that is totally misunderstood. What's your opinion on Batman v Superman?
I'm all for people having their own opinions on movies, whatever it is in life. But when you call something a masterpiece, which clearly is not, because I have a problem if someone calls that a masterpiece, because there's problems with the script, you know, there's problem with the editing. Like, okay, it looks great, it looks like a comic book movie, but there is problems all over the field for the movie. Like, you can like the movie, but to call it a masterpiece, that's going a little bit overboard, and that's kind of my issue with this whole release the Snyder Cut thing, because people are calling like BVS and Man of Steel things that they are not.
Yeah. No, I got you. I mean, like, so my thing, dude, BVS is such a funny thing, dude. Like that, I remember. Do you remember that? Do you remember when it was like coming out and like? Because the thing was, dude, those trailers were hype, and like honestly, one of those trailers, I forget which one it was, but it was like literally one of the best comic book movie trailers I'd ever seen. I was like, holy shit. And I was really excited. And then I remember just a lot of the negative buzz surrounding it when it came out. And then like it had such a bad Rotten Tomatoes score. And then it had such a huge drop off from week 1 to week 2. I think it was like something like 76%. And because it opened huge, dude. It opened like 400, 500 million or something like that. And then the entire gross of it, I think, capped out at like 800 mil or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but Dude, BVS is awful. Like,
Yeah.
it is such a bad movie. Now, I will say this. The thing that's really crazy about it is the extended cut of BVS is literally about 100 times better. 100 times better. And I
Yeah.
tell people this all the time, and they're like, well, how can this be? How could this be? And it's little things, man. Film is a lot of little things that you need to fill out a film. It's like this. Actually, I was just watching, man, we're going to... The coffee's kicking in, LB. The coffee's kicking in. We're about to get wild. Okay, so I'm currently watching the extended cuts of The Lord of the Rings. Have you ever seen those?
Uh-huh. Man, I tried. I watched like 40 minutes of the first one. I'm out. If they put it
they're
out
long.
on 4K, if they put it out on 4K, I'll give it another shot.
Gotcha. So I've been telling people, because I just love those movies, but I tell people like all the time, what's crazy about the extended cuts is they're better movies. And let me just give you just a couple examples. So in Revenge of the Sith, in Return of the King, there's a couple of different scenes that actually really contextualize a few things that are cut from the theatrical release. I think the biggest one is at the end of the film, Aragorn takes the that ball that had that little ball that the Sauron was able to like look through and all that, and like Pippin grabs it and all that. So he takes that ball, and he actually has a conversation with Sauron. And he actually goads Sauron a little bit and basically says, I'm coming for you, bro. And then at the end of the movie, when the armies of Mordor like come out, it makes way more sense because Aragorn actually like got their goat, so to speak. It didn't make sense in the theatrical cut. You might not notice it, but in the theatrical cut, it's like Frodo and Sam are like, "Oh, we're screwed," and then all of a sudden, all of the armies of Mordor head to the gate. It doesn't really make sense, right? And so there's little things like that in Return of the King that are just all over it. It's literally a way better movie. And the same thing is true in the BVS extended cut. It's little things. Like one of my favorite things in the extended cut is after the bomb goes off at the Senate hearing, Clark is helping bring bodies out of the debris and the rubble, okay? And he has this moment where he's looking around, the police officers are like helping and all this stuff, and he has this moment where he looks into the crowd and he sees Lois, and it's just this really emotional thing. It recontextualizes the whole scene because in the movie, in the theatrical cut, it's like boom, the bomb blows up, and then Superman's like, I'm out, you know, and he just see him take off into the sky, and like you're just left with like what, like as a fan, and in the beginning you don't even understand. Like my big thing was in the beginning of BVS in the theatrical cut, I had no goddamn idea what was going on in the desert, and then why after the scenes in the desert, everybody's beefing with Superman and the media's like taking shots at him. I was like, this doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, honestly, it would have been better for them to just come in with the world hating on Superman, and you didn't even have to have a scene to explain it. And then you find out in the extended cut that that Luther and some people that he hired were like taking flamethrowers and like flaming the bodies to make it look like Superman had killed those people in the desert, right? But like you literally do not get that in the theatrical cut. And so what I think happened with BVS is that Zack turned in a big cut that made sense, and Kevin Tsuchihara and everybody at Warner Brothers was like, oh, great job, this is amazing. You're going to need to gut 30 minutes, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And ultimately, I think that is what destroyed BVS. I don't know if you have any thoughts. I just rambled for a little while.
No, you didn't ramble at all. You explained it perfectly. I mean, the BVS, the theatrical cut, is like a 90s music video. It's just a bunch of scenes thrown together, and it like cut scenes. And I say this a lot of times. It's like video game cut scenes and stuff. It's like it's not a movie. I watched the ultimate cut, and they explain things better, like you said. But to me, it's still not a good movie at all, man. They completely dropped the ball on that movie. It's like you got two of the most iconic superheroes in the history of comic books. You had one job, and y'all messed it up 100%, man.
I know.
And to go back to what you were saying about when it came out, like I wasn't impressed by the trailers. Like I'm a Zack Snyder fan, and like I know what I'm going to get with Zack Snyder fans. It's like a whole lot of style, a lack of substance with a lot of stuff. That's a whole other debate. So I only went to see the movie when I saw everyone was trashing it. So I was like, hold on, it can't be this bad. I got to go see it for myself. And I was like, okay, this isn't that bad up until like a certain point in the middle of the movie, and I was like, okay, this is going way downhill. I was like, man.
The Martha scene.
No, it was earlier than that, but that was my moment. Was like, okay, I'm done. I'm officially done with this movie.
Yeah, dude, the Martha scene to me, like, I will never, like, honestly, that is the most mind-boggling thing to put in that movie. Like, I can just feel the writer, while he was doing his research, like, and realizing that their moms have the same name, and him just getting like a fucking self-congratulatory boner from it, and just being like so happy that he discovered that he's like, this is gonna be this is gonna be the best part of the movie. This is gonna be this iconic, ridiculous thing, Martha. You know, it's like, it's so laughably bad. Like, I just can't believe that nobody like looked at that and said, this is ridiculous, you know. And then the speed at which the movie, look, we're turning this into like the shit on BVS show, but we don't have to do that. So let's change pace a little bit. So what about the Snyder Cut itself? Because you know, the way that the story transpired is like, it's kind of hard to get a grip on what was real and what wasn't real. But to me, it seems pretty clear now that Zack had a cut that he had edited together and finished that he gave to Warner Brothers before he left the film. And then from there, that cut was hack jobbed by the studio and by Joss Whedon, right? So what do you think, like, can you just speak on, like, what do you think happened, like, from Zack's perspective? And do you think he's been working on this, like, the whole time? Or what do you think's been going on with that?
Cause I did some research just to refresh my memory, because I know I wasn't paying attention to the Justice League production schedule and all that, because I was checked out of the DCEU at the time. But I didn't realize that when Zack Snyder stepped down, production was already wrapped up. It was in post production, right? So it's like, okay, there has to be a Snyder cut per se. Because, like, Joss Whedon stepped in post-production and then went back and did reshoots and changes. So it's possible that he worked on the movie. I mean, I don't know how directors and stuff, if they have, like, the official cuts of this to themselves, or they have to turn it into the studio and they never have it again. But I think it's possible he worked on this movie over time. It's like, look, if y'all want to release my cut, all you got to do is put up the money to, you know, finish some of these effects to make it look better, and we can put it out. So there's definitely a Zack Snyder cut out there.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, and the thing about it was, like, what we've been hearing lately is that he has been doing some work on it, and that he did screen it. Like, this is real, right? So, like, he screened it for people at Warner Brothers, a bunch of executives, and some people at AT&T. And this is where Andy Signork sort of got in a little bit of trouble with it. And, you know, look, like, scooping in that game that's the risk you run. You know, you hear things, you got to make a judgment on how believable is this, and then you run with it. And he ran with the fact that he was hearing that it was horrible, and the fact that he was hearing that there's no way they were going to spend more money on the thing to complete it. And then it's funny because Kevin Smith came out and said that, like, he sort of had known that, like, yeah, Zack had been working on this thing, that, like, basically, like, and I imagine, like, you know, just being someone that, like, did go to film school, and, like, you know, you always, if you don't get to complete something, man, it does, like, eat at you. And so I'm sure it ate him up, and he wanted to tell that story. And, you know, there's all this news about how he had this crazy 5-film arc and all this wild stuff that was going to happen within the Snyderverse. But let me just ask you this, man. So I think the number they're throwing around is like $20 million, okay? Do you think, if you're the studio, is it worth it to spend $20 million more on a movie that in a lot of ways is already a failure? It's already had its thing. You think it's worth it to do that? What do you think about that?
With that said, like what you just said, I was thinking, it's like, okay, are all the people that saying release the Snyder Cut, if they actually do this, do we know that these people are actually going to pay for the Snyder Cut? I mean, we don't know that.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
the
like,
thing. It's hard to tell, right? Like, because there's a lot of buzz. There's obviously a lot of social media buzz, but it's hard to tell how many of these. I mean, I don't think they're gonna theatrically release it right now. From what I'm hearing, and this is a big thing that people are talking about, is this: the idea is to put it on HBO Max, and they might do that as a draw to get people to subscribe to HBO Max. But yeah, so but it's $20 million. I mean, do you think that's worth it? Do you think that brings in people to HBO Max? What do you think?
if they want to do a quick gimmick of getting people to sign up and cancel, they can run with that. But I mean, Justice League lost so much money for them. It's like it's not gonna recoup anything, and then you'll have to spend money on marketing and all of that stuff. So I mean, it's like just cut your losses and move on from it. I mean, because like I said, there's no guarantee that if they do release the Snyder Cut, that these people will subscribe to HBO Max or rent it or purchase it on streaming or buy a Blu-ray. We don't know that. And we don't know if it will offset a cost to where they will make that 20 million and then some.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I totally respect that point of view, and who knows? We don't know, but I'll tell you this from my perspective, and I think this is coming probably from people at AT&T, because I think the people at Warner Brothers just aren't. They're just not thinkers. Like they're so set in like old Hollywood and all this old kind of ways. AT&T, you got to think. This is the way I think of it. AT&T comes in. They make they make this merger, they make this purchase. They have now all of the assets of Warner Brothers and DC superheroes, right? Now, when they're thinking of this, they're thinking of it in terms of what that branding and what that IP can mean for them and their ecosystem, right? So, like, they're thinking about, like, you put HBO Max on all the AT&T phones. Every phone that's going through AT&T is getting HBO Max. They're thinking in terms of, like, sort of ecosystems, in terms of funneling customers and all these different things. I think if I was somebody at AT&T and I just took an honest look at Warner Brothers, DC, and its fans, I would be like, this relationship is damaged. This relationship is damaged, and it is worth $20 million to try to do what we can to fix that relationship. And honestly, like, I actually think it's kind of a clever idea. I've also heard that what they're going to do is not release it theatrically. They're going to do it as a mini series, and they're going to do like the big long cut, because there's rumors that 100 minutes of footage did not make it into that film. Like 100 minutes of footage.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like almost a whole nother movie, right? And that's it's believable. They shoot a lot. That's the thing. Shoot everything you can, and then cut from that. You can't. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of the director philosophy. So absolutely. I think if they cut it up into little episodes, it not only gives Zack some time to work it and to add those digital effects, to spend that $20 million to get the effects done, and then obviously you climax towards the end with some really crazy stuff. I think it's a smart $20 million. I think it's a good $20 million to spend. Like, dude, look, they spent how much money? Look, this might ruffle some feathers, pun intended. But how much money did they spend making Birds of Prey? You know what I mean?
Too much.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what it was. It was too much. It was too much money. So I don't think $20 million to get the. Because think about it, dude. The buzz this would create, like, it's blowing up right now. LB, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard to. You might the $20 million that it would take to make it. You would get probably $50 million of what's called earned media. Yeah. Like the buzz on social media, different publications talking about it, us talking about it right now. So many people talking about it. They're not spending a dime to get people to talk about it. It's the Snyder bros and the drama and all of the fucking craziness that created the scenario. They can capitalize on it. Just drop a tiny 20. Drop a 20 million.
Just a little 20.
Yeah, just throw a little 20 spot on it. But yeah, I don't know if that's just kind of the way I see it. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, go for it, Warner. Go for it, AT&T. Put out the Snyder Cut and and give the fans some closure. Because I mean, just because they release a Snyder cut, there's no guarantee this Snyder cut is actually good. So you
True.
know,
True.
yeah,
True.
be careful what you wish for, people.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to talking to Ryan about. You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, look,
Yeah.
what if it sucks? Come on. Like, tell me, Ryan, what if it sucks? You going to admit it?
You know, Josh, I honestly think it'll be one of those things. If the movie sucked, people would not say it sucked because they don't want to be proven wrong. It's like, see, we didn't need this.
Yeah. But you know what, though? Dude, again, it goes back to the Joss Whedon cut, though. Like, can it be worse than that? I don't think it can be.
It's possible.
It is possible. You're right. On a wide enough spectrum, it's possible. But let's talk about some of the things that might be in the movie. Have you heard about anything that might be in it that would be really exciting to you? Is there anything that you'd like to see in it if it comes out?
I don't know any specifics of what he had in his cut. I mean, I know that Joss removed like some of Cyborg stuff from the movie,
yes,
and Flash, and like bumped up Wonder Woman. Like, I mean, that was pretty obvious they was going to give Wonder Woman more stuff, but you know, Cyborg, who I wasn't a fan of at all, it's like, okay, maybe a little more added stuff would help us kind of get past the whole part that they just threw him in this movie. Maybe.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm totally with you on that. I mean, it's like, my thing is, I think that's probably one of the things I'm most looking forward to, just because, like, dude, I feel so bad for Ray Fisher because, like, his career kind of doesn't exist after it now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
dude, that's rough because he was apparently the heart of that movie. And if you think about it, Cyborg being a mother box and his whole arc would really be important and humanizing and all of that. I mean, like, dude, we know, you know what I mean? Like, we know, like, if we're nerds, we're comic book fans, we know what's up. Like, that should have been the anchor of the film. So that's something that I would have definitely wanted to see. Apparently, there's the black suit Superman. That's another big thing, right? Black suit Superman. Henry Cavill with a black suit. Dude, I'd be hyped to see that. I don't know about you.
That'll be interesting. Let me throw this at you. Have you heard anything about the villain? Because remember, we still got Steppenwolf, so I'm assuming that was the original villain in the Zack Snyder movie.
Yes. So what I've heard is, yes, it's still going to be Steppenwolf, but that in the original version, you were going to at least see Darkseid and potentially have Darkseid interact with the heroes, which would be really crazy. But yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see. I would definitely love to see Darkseid, and I think that the Steppenwolf thing and like the ending and just like, it's just really sloppy, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really sloppy, and I would love to see like a better version of that. And to be honest with you, I'd love to see more of like the lore explored of the mother boxes. What are the mother boxes? Like, how does all of that piece together? Because there's a lot of opportunity there for like really great richness. And now I'm having trouble remembering. It's been so long since I've watched Justice League, and I've literally watched it uno times. You know what I mean? Like, uno. So I might have to watch it again just to kind of see what some of the big differences would be. But I've heard there was more Green Lantern. Like, I've heard that Martian Manhunter was going to show up. You know, the General. This is what's really wild. The General, and I'm trying to remember the dude's name. I don't know if you know the guy's name, but he's the main general in Man of Steel that he even fights. It's not the white dude. It's the black dude, and it's I'm trying to think. I can't remember exactly. Do you know who I'm talking about? The guy that was the general?
I honestly don't remember. I've only seen that movie one time, and that was way before BVS came out.
I'm blanking on the dude's name, but apparently he's Martian Manhunter, and he was going to be revealed to be Martian Manhunter in the Snyder Cut. And so I'm like, that's pretty freaking cool. I'd be super down for that. There was going to be an actual Green Lantern that showed up, because you remember that scene in the trailers where Alfred's like says something to the effect of like, they said you'd show up or something like that. I just hope it's not too late.
Yeah.
So, and there was that green glow in his glasses.
Yeah, I remember that.
And everyone was like, so apparently that's either a Green Lantern that shows up or it's Martian Manhunter with Superman, the way that it was gonna go down. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that stuff sounds really cool. It sounds like better flavor for me. I love Green Lantern, so I would like to see more than just that little shot we got of one in that epic fight scene.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's an interesting concept because, like, New York Times, I believe it was New York Times, because they said that Joss Whedon added 80 new pages to the script during reshoots. So that's a
Jeez.
lot of pages and a lot of minutes, people. 80.
Yeah, that is
So
80 minutes of filming or
yeah,
on-screen film. Yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, dude, and that's another thing is like, dude, how different do you think this movie's gonna be? Because some people are saying like, oh, it's just gonna be like the extended cut. I'm sort of inclined to think no. I'm sort of inclined to think it's gonna be way different than what we got.
yeah. I mean, because just remember, like, Justice League is only 2 hours, and that's with credit. So the movie isn't that long at all. So it's like you're adding 80 minutes, then you're removing stuff, and then your stuff gets removed too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, completely different movie.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think it's going to be completely different, and I'm here for it, to be honest with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Zack says tomorrow on his live stream about that. I think, look, at the end of the day, whether you like Zack Snyder's vision for DC films or not, I think we can admit that he was done sort of wrong by the studio, and that
Yeah.
he never got to complete that vision. I always take it back, LB. I take it back to the start of the filming of Justice League after they watched the reception at BVS, and the studio had 2 weeks, and they really screwed this up, but they had a 2-week window to decide, are we going to continue on with the plan that Zack has, or are we going to scrap it and become Marvel, basically, right?
Right.
And they decided to try to have their cake and eat it too, where they were like, well, we'll keep Zack, but we're going to start workshopping his movie immediately. And there was this whole thing where they brought out a lot of critics. About 2 weeks into shooting, they brought out a lot of critics that just crapped all over BVS, and they brought those critics to London to see some of the stuff with Justice League. And I remember I watched videos with those critics. There's one with Frosty over at Collider, and he was talking about how like he could see, dude, there were big pieces of concept art that were like taken off the walls and like hidden over in the corner that had like much darker Zack Snyder stuff that you could just tell that they were marveling the shit out of it. I mean, the scene that they showed them was that where Barry Allen catches the Batman batarang, and it's that scene's very Marvel. It's very like upbeat and we're making this sort of self-referential humor and all this sort of stuff. And I personally thought that was a huge mistake. It's like, make the decision. Are you sticking with your guy or not? Don't stick with your guy and then force him to make a bunch of changes, which is what I think happened.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's just like, man, like I know, Zack Snyder had the whole tragedy with his family and stuff, so that's why he stepped down. But it's like, man, you could have pushed the movie back, like wait until he's cool with coming back to finish the movie, like, because I mean, me personally, I would not be cool with finishing the movie and then having someone else come in and completely change it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and the thing with his daughter,
that's
like,
messed up.
I don't even buy that. I got to be honest with you. I don't even believe that story because the story was Zack has to step away because of his daughter, but he stepped away a month after she had passed, and then on top of that, the whole idea was, well, he doesn't want to be making movies. He literally made a film after he left Justice League. He got together with a lot of his friends and made sort of a smaller, little more intimate film. But like, he's a filmmaker. Like he wants to be making movies. Sometimes when tragedy hits, it's best for you to bury yourself in your work. So I don't even believe that. You know what I mean? I think the studio was like, well, we're taking you off of this, and this is the way we're gonna spin it and all that stuff. Which, if that's true, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? That they would take like a real like family tragedy like that and try to use it as spin. Like, that's disgusting. So that's just my opinion. I don't have any proof.
It's possible. I mean, just look at when the Warner CEO stepped down, all the stuff that came out about him. So in
Yep.
Hollywood.
Yep. But folks, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into some Q&A now. You got a question for me or LB? Drop a question into the chat. Of course, them super chats help us pay the bills and get our Girl Scout cookies. So if you've got some loot and you want to support, throw a super chat in there. If you don't have any loot, don't worry about it. Just drop a question into the chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. I also want to say too, as the chats are coming in, if you're a Star Wars fan, I have an interview coming later today. I will be interviewing Kessel Run Transmission. These are the guys that broke the scoop about the Star Wars Rebels sequel series, and I'm going to be sitting down with them and doing an interview asking them all about that show and what they know about the future of Star Wars. So that is going to be pretty freaking fun. Look for that later on the channel. But yeah, feel free to drop your questions in. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to those guys. No, Scotty, it won't be live. I'm going to record with them off air and edit it together. But if you want to throw a question, we'll make a post about it on Twitter in a little bit. And you can post a question if you'd like me to ask those guys a question for that. You can hit us up on Twitter. Let's see here. Jacob's Quest says, what do you think about this movie probably ending on a cliffhanger? Okay, so this is actually an interesting question. LB, what do you think? What's going to happen if the film ends on a cliffhanger?
Justice League. I think they would do that because then well, obviously we know what cliffhangers do, but then they can fuel more speculation of where are they going? Are they going to a route? Are we going to go the Wonder Woman route, the Justice League route, the new Justice League route? Flashpoint, what are we doing? So they'll probably do that to build up some speculation for the next movie.
I know, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think that's the thing I'm most interested in, honestly, is like if it comes out and it's just like great, you know what I mean? Like if it's just knockout, bang out, great. If it's incredible, what does Warner Brothers do then? You know what I mean? Like they already have all this stuff planned. They already have all this, that, and the other thing. It's like. I mean, like, I have all these sort of issues with Warner Brothers. It's like they're their own worst enemy in a lot of ways. But I will be really interested to know if it's incredible and if it ends on a cliffhanger, are they backing that money track back? Are they putting Snyder back on something? You know what I mean? Like, could you see that happening? Like, what do you think, man? You think that's impossible?
This is Warner, and anything is possible with this DCEU because they've literally changed something after every single movie. So, always subject to change with them. So I would not be surprised at all if they made changes again.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, that would be such a story. Like that would be such a story. Like they've done all this stuff happened, and then all of a sudden the Justice League Snyder Cut comes out. Everybody loves it. They're clamoring for Zack Snyder to come back. Everybody's clamoring for Cavill to come back. Everybody's clamoring for Affleck to come back. I mean, what a story. Like, literally. Like, that would be nuts. Like, I'm not even saying I'd be down, but I'd be very interested in talking about it. You know what I mean?
The band is back together after all of them leaving, not leaving.
Yeah, dude. Get the band back together. Dude, I want to see it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Snyder and his stuff, so I would be really into it. Let's see here. Renee asks, do you think there's a Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker? I do not. I do not think there is a Lucas cut of The Rise of Skywalker. What do you think, LB? You think there's one?
No, Lucas is done. Like he might hang out on set or hang out at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but he ain't directing anything.
Yeah, dude. He's over it, you know? I don't think he's, all that kind of stuff seemed to me to be a bull crap. You guys brought up the point about how many pages of the script they have to film. Is 20 million enough? So let me clarify, Mike. When Joss Whedon came in, he made 80 pages of scripting changes. He added an additional 80 pages, okay? So that was new stuff for the Joss Whedon version. But as the story goes, most of what was in Zack's original script was actually shot. it was actually shot. The difference was there were missing digital effects. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't totally cleaned up, and it costs money. Like that's why films cost so much money. It's to do post production on a lot of these things. Clean up the visual effects, do ADR, putting in the right audio, mixing the sound, all of these different things. So the $20 million is to finish up some of the scenes like that, to finish up some of the digital effects that are in there, and to clean up some scenes that were never really polished up because they were a part of the script that Warner Brothers changed. So there is not 80 pages of new script to shoot, because $20 million would probably not be enough for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So here's a question. If they do release the Snyder Cut, then which version of the movie would be considered canon? Oh my God, this question's going to cause people's heads to spin.
I think they'll just let the people decide. It's like, whatever. If people like it, people love it, that's the new canon right here.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what. I know a few people that have used some particular hashtags that will probably consider the Snyder Cut canon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And hey, look, my opinion, honestly, just my opinion here, but the Joss Whedon Justice League is an abomination of a film. And so I would definitely consider the Zack version of it to be canon. Let's see here. How bad will the backlash be for Warner Brothers if this gets released to critical acclaim? Or do you think it could be spun for a positive loom? What do you think? You want to take that one, man? What do you think? How bad would the backlash be for Warner Brothers if it comes out and it's really good?
I don't think there'll be backlash. I would think it's like people would be excited and happy about it. Like, why? I mean, I know people complain, but like, if the movie's good and great and is way better than the other, people are like, okay, you should have released this in the first time. But I don't think people would have a huge backlash over it. They'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's my answer. I think there would be a backlash that could be used for a positive. It could be used in a positive way, because a lot of the people that, and this report came out, I forget who had this, but somebody said that a lot of the people that don't like the Snyder Cut at Warner Brothers are no longer in positions of power, that due to restructuring, they're just not calling the shots anymore. So what I would do, if it comes out and it's very positively received, I'd be like, all the backlash, I would just be like, look, guys, we get it, and those people are not calling the shots anymore. A lot of them don't even work here anymore, and we agree. There was some crap decisions made under the old regime, but the new regime is the one that gave you the Snyder Cut, right? So that whole perception, this is why I'm saying, like, that $20 million, that can stretch way beyond what they actually make in a dollars ROI. That's branding. That is, like, potentially very good for Warner Brothers and their base moving forward. So, yeah, I think there actually could be a backlash, but it could be used for good, actually. Let's see here.
Good point.
They won't continue past, probably, so it don't matter. It would serve them right. They mishandled the shit out of this IP. There's no way it comes out to critical acclaim. The majority of critics have already decided they don't like Snyder's DCEU. This won't change their mind. I think that's fair. That's a fair point by Adam. And who's even going to... I mean, I guess some critics would review it, getting on it. But, there's probably a big group of critics that they would try so hard to not give it any kind of a positive review. But I don't know. What do you think, LB? You think the critics, are critics going to post reviews for the Snyder Cut? And do you think that there's any way they could actually give it praise?
I think they would post reviews because, it's content for them, and this would be a big thing. And honestly, like, Zack Snyder has had 2 movies out, in the DCEU. So it's like, I don't think it'll be like critics would just be hating to hate. Like, he's giving them the shot with 2 movies and people haven't liked them. So it's not like they'll go into this one like, okay, I'm going to hate on this no matter. I'm going to watch it for a third Zack Snyder movie. They'll try to, be critical and objective. It's like, okay, I'm giving this one last try. If it's bad,
I know.
bad.
Well, it's funny because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, dude, they will review it. Like, that, because it's going to create it's content and it's so much buzz.
Right.
and like people are gonna check out what people have to say too. So like it's so weird because like my first gut reaction was like critics aren't even gonna mess with that, but now I'm thinking like, oh no, dude, they're definitely doing it. Are you kidding me? They're definitely doing it, and they're gonna tweet about it. They want everybody to know what they think about it. You know?
Absolutely.
So
They
hey,
they reviewed the ultimate cut, so no
interesting.
reason not to.
Interesting. I didn't even know they reviewed the Ultimate Cut. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, people did that.
Let's see here. How about this? Why is the animated universe so popular and their cinematic universe so shite? Well, you know, this is something we actually talked about in a good bit of our community streams. And I think it was Trev that brought up the point that it's really because of Bruce Timm and because the team over at DC Animated is actually story driven and they actually have people there that are sort of doing a soft version of the MCU. So again, it comes back to this connective tissue, to having a clear creative vision, and to having a very smart, intelligent way to have these things overlap. And so Bruce Timm and all of those people over at the DC Animated Studios, dude, they just get it. And and Warner Brothers proper is just too old Hollywood, too behind the times, too unwilling to commit. You know, I mean, like, dude, the list goes on and on. The thing about Warner Brothers is they're reactive; they're not proactive. The biggest difference between Warner Brothers and Marvel Studios is Warner Brothers is reacting. Marvel Studios is being proactive. They're planning. They're doing it the right way. So that's kind of, I don't know if you had something you wanted to add to that.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, make a plan and stick to it. Stop worrying about Marvel, man. Like, for real. And just to put that out there, DCEU people, I like the animated movies. They put out good animated movies in DC. I like those.
I love the animated movies, bro. Like that newest one, Apocalypse War, the Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that movie. And then the Red Sun. I saw somebody talking about it in chat, the Red Sun DC animated movie. That movie's fantastic, dude. Like it's fantastic. It's arguably better than I remember the comic to be. It had some changes from the comics, and I think that it really goes there with the political stuff. It really goes there with Superman, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, DC animated, like they're killing the game, you know, over there at their DC animated. It would be great if their live action stuff could get on the same board. Is Red Sun worth $10? I think so. I definitely think so.
Go for it.
We'll take one more question, guys, and then we're gonna get on out of here and send you over to Trinity's stream.
Make it a good question.
Yeah, make it a good question. I wonder what Trinity's gonna. Is Trinity talking about the Snyder Cut today? What do you think?
I think he will. And he'll talk about me for like 20 minutes. That's our inside joke.
Nice, man. I can't wait to see what he's got to say about it if he does talk about it. Should be.
He's an optimistic man.
He is an optimistic man. He's got good energy. I wonder what he thought about the theatrical cut if he did see it.
Oh, I guarantee you, he enjoyed it.
You guarantee that he enjoyed the version?
There isn't a movie Trinity does not like.
Oh, he's one of those guys. You know, it's so funny. Like, so James Rosili's like that too from Rebel Scum podcast. Like, he just loves bad movies. Like it just is what it is. Like, he loves bad movies. I lean that way a little bit. Where I was like, if I'm having fun, man, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm having fun, if I'm being entertained, I'm not gonna be super hard on that. That's why I like Venom so much. Like, Venom ain't like all that, but I had fun, you know.
Yeah. For me, it seems like I hate every movie, but it's not the case. It's just like when I talk about movies I like, y'all don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this algorithm and just the way people are, man. They look at it. There's a reason why the old expression, like, if it bleeds, it leads. You know what I mean? Everybody goes with that. Let's see here. What are your predictions on J.J. Abrams' Justice League Dark series? The only thing I know for sure is that they said they're trying to bring in like primo talent. So if they get some like just really knockout talent to play some of these characters, if it's properly story driven, I hope that he respects the lore a little bit more than I think he did with Star Wars. Even though I like The Rise of Skywalker, I think that I think that these Hollywood people need to understand that like the lore and the base for the characters, like there's a reason that those characters have persisted for 75 plus years, and it's not because of what Hollywood directors want to do with those characters. It's because of the core of the characters, right? So yeah, I'm hoping that it's really good and great actors, and yeah, what do you think? You got any thoughts on Justice League Dark?
I'm not the biggest J.J. Abrams fan out there, but I know he has talent. I know he knows what to do. So let the man put his vision to life. Don't interfere unless he does something outrageous. Just let him be a filmmaker. I'm all for the filmmakers filmmaking.
I heard that, man. Yeah, that would be nice, and that's not really necessarily Warner Brothers style, though. That's the only problem. They claim to be a director-driven studio, and yet tinker. I mean, have you heard the stuff about how much they tinkered with the first Suicide Squad movie?
Oh yeah. I mean,
more and more stuff's coming out about that, and it's just like, dude, like, what's going on? I thought you guys were filmmaker-driven.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? Like I said earlier, Zack Snyder has made you all money. He's worked with y'all a lot over the years. It's like, why don't you trust him to just do his thing?
I know. And Hollywood is full of people that like, look, it's unfortunate to say, but it's true. They don't like to think and they don't like to read.
Yeah.
Like, look, Trinity is like one of the coolest people from California I've ever met. And like most people from California that I meet, like I like people from California, but y'all are just a little floaty. You know what I mean? Like just a little floaty for me. And it's like I'm so, like those Hollywood people, like they don't think, they don't read. They looked at what happened with BVS and probably thought this is on him, and not like this might have something to do with the fact that we told him to gut a half hour of crucial stuff out of his movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like Hollywood, man. Hollywood people being Hollywood. So.
Yeah. Oh, but one more thing. Can we get an Age of Ultron cut?
Yeah,
the Joss Whedon cut.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I will say that I don't know, how do you feel about that movie? I actually really like Age of Ultron. I think it's aged better. I like it.
Yeah, I've always liked it a lot, but I know they cut a bunch of stuff from the movie, so it's hey, give us the Joss Whedon cut.
Yeah, dude, why not? I mean, I don't think Marvel like Feige ain't about that life though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Feige's like, even if something's working and like it's not his shit, he's like, nope. You know what I mean? So like I do not think that's going down. Apparently, do you know the story about how Amy Pascal threw a sandwich at him? Do you know about that?
I've never heard that, but
yeah, apparently in one of their meetings, Feige was just doing like Feige. And look, I'm sure he's like really charming, like in front of the camera and all that. But like when he's in a meeting, he's probably just like, no.
Nah.
You know what I mean? He's probably just like, yeah, no.
With his Marvel baseball cap on.
Yeah, dude.
He points
right?
No.
I wonder if he ever like you see that movie with the arm wrestlers where the dude turns his hat backward when he gets serious. You ever seen that movie? It's with like Stallone.
Stallone. I can't remember the name.
I forget the name of it. But like that's like what I think.
Over the Top?
Over the Top, I think is what it is. Yeah. And like I can just see like Kevin Feige in the middle of a big like board meeting or whatever, and just over the top in it and taking that hat and just taking it back, and then he's like, it's about to get real, you know. I'd love to see that. Shit. But anyways, we're gonna call it there, folks. I'm gonna drop in the link to Trinity's channel. I don't know if he's live yet, but head on over there. He'll be live before you know it. LB, thanks again for being here. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to tell the people? Tell the people about the Lonely Banner YouTube channel.
Man, thank you for having me on again. It's a blast. And shout out to everybody in the chat, watching now, watching later. My channel is called The Lonely Banter. Tomorrow, I will be on Fanjection's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're doing the Marvel villains. I'm going against Trinity of 2nd Street Marvel. And he will get defeated. Other than that, you know, I talk movies, craziness, and entertainment. I'm doing Star Wars Watch Along, The Last Jedi Friday, and Rise of Skywalker Saturday. So if you want to hear me go crazy over those movies, you can join me on The Lonely Banter. Appreciate everybody here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, go check out LB's stuff. I'm interested to see this thing. I'm running a stream tomorrow for the trivia thing. Otherwise, I would come by and watch you guys argue about DC villains. But we're going to call it
MCU villains. Did I say
MCU
DC?
villains. No, you said MCU. I
okay.
screwed that up. I got Snyder Cut on the brain. All right, guys, we're going to call it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I will see you in the next